Hi, this is Hyperwave. I'm Leah Wald, and I'm here with Tyler Jenks. We're going to talk about the action over the last 24 hours and what it means for Bitcoin. And then we're going to introduce a new technical trading tool, which is called the Parabolic Stop and Reverse Point, for analyzing specifically Bitcoin. So, Tyler?
Great, thank you, Leah. Yeah, we're going to talk mainly Bitcoin over the last 24 hours because we have a little bit of good news. I tweeted about it this morning. And so let's just go right to the screen share and pull up the action that we've had since yesterday. And for the first time in several days, we've got some fairly good news. It is fading fairly quickly here also. This is a daily chart, the one we've been using, that includes the top over here at 19,666, the downtrend line through these key points here and here recently, and the uptrend line from the bottom, 5,920 up to the current level. I'm going to make this a little bit larger so we can see this uptrend is, we warned yesterday and we had been below that uptrend during the day very briefly yesterday, and it is holding today, and then we moved up nicely back above the 10,100 level. The problem now is, after being at 10,350 earlier this morning, we've slipped back and we're just barely hanging on with our fingernails to this 10,100 line. I haven't seen too many people using this, but it's been a very powerful support and resistance line all the way back before the big move up to 20,000. And we've talked about it over and over again. It's proven to me to be a very important horizontal trend line and continues to be right up to today. The good news from last night is we had fallen out below 10,100. And the good news for today is we got back in between these two lines, 10,100 and 11,100. Which for almost 5 weeks we have been saying are very important lines, and they prove it over and over again. We don't need to go through all the details, but you can see here this clump of almost 2 weeks worth of days finding either support or resistance above or below these lines. And shorter time periods, such as right here, and the last 6 trading days, very importantly, the last week now, including today, these two lines take on even more of importance as the two rising and falling trend lines come together at a peak. Because obviously what's about to happen is we're about to have a train wreck. If you consider this as train tracks, these two parallel lines, and you also understand that when you come to an apex of a very large triangle, which this one is, and includes in it all of the data points from the very high at 20,000 to the very low at 5,900, it's very clear that in approximately 1, 2, 3, 4 to 5 days, we're going to meet at this apex. And there's going to be an explosion. And at that explosion, we are either going to be shot way up in the air, or we are going to be shot way down to new lows. So we're running out of time for this particular formation to give us a clue of what it's going to do. I was fairly sanguine yesterday. I have a target of 8,400 approximately on the downside, which could be reversed if this recent upside action continues. But in any case, that's where we stand today. We'll see how it closes tonight on a daily chart. I'm going to take a quick look at a 4-hour chart to bring up this technical tool that we have used before called the Parabolic Stop and Reverse Point. And it looks like this when you overlay it on top of a chart. We have two little circles down here, which both indicate that we have stopped the downtrend from the top of this at 11,700, which is where we failed right in the vicinity of our descending trend line, right at this point, just about 2 weeks ago, where we, about 5 days ago, where we touched that downtrend line. And from that point on, you'll notice all of these little circles, which are the stop and reverse points, have kept the price below them until yesterday. Yesterday, we, by shooting up last night and penetrating this stop and reverse point, the SAR was signaling that for at least a short period of time, we have entered an uptrend. That will be reversed if price drops down to 9,856 over the next 4 hours. Now, the best way to use this parabolic stop and reverse point is not on a short time chart like a 4-hour chart. It's on the longer term charts. So let's take a quick look at the daily chart, and you'll see that we had been in this uptrend, meaning all the price action is above the stop and reverse points until 2 days ago. And that's when we penetrated to the downside yesterday morning, this stop and reverse point, which then shifts from an uptrend to a downtrend, which is another reason yesterday I was fairly certain that this downtrend beginning could become very dangerous. It still is on a daily basis. We are still in the downtrend from 19,666. And even though we've had this reprieve that has gone on now for almost 3 weeks, with all the price action moving up above the stop and reverse points, that ended 2 days ago, a day and a half ago, and now we have these two negative stop and reverse points above the price action. They will stay there until we can go all the way up through 10,100, 11,100, and up to about 11,800 before these begin to accelerate down. Taking a look at little longer periods, notice how powerful this is as we ran from 5,500, hi Thor, from 5,500 all the way up to 20,000. Almost a 3.5 or 4x move with only one little break with 3 stop and reverse points right here, once again between the two magic lines, 10,100 and 11,100. Other than that, this system, this SAR, works wonderfully well with Bitcoin particularly. I've tried it on other cryptocurrencies, but for now I'm using it exclusively for Bitcoin and for GBTC, the Bitcoin Investment Trust. So let's take a look at this longer term hyperwave of the entire move from approximately 500 on up. And notice that here are the two lines, the downtrend line and my either second or third phase hyperwave line, which held on the bottom, and now I'm worried that we could go back down and test. I'm going to overlay the stop and reverse points on this chart. And when you see it on a long-term basis, it shows you that you don't have to do all of the calculations necessary for most trading systems, that it automatically will place stops below rising trends and stops above falling trends to take you out of trend trades. And it's important to understand that why this works so well with Bitcoin. It's because there are very few asset classes that move with the intensity and the volume and the amplitude over a short period of time as this particular asset class and this particular asset. So it's just another tool. You can find it on almost all trading systems. It's on TradingView. It's on BitWisdom, obviously. It's on almost all technical trading systems on E-Trade, Fidelity, Schwab, those places. So if you haven't used it before, I think if you are thinking of being a trader, not a short-term trader, because you can also do this very short-term. Here's a 15-minute chart, and it shows you all the buy and sell positions. But on these longer-term holds, if you're a trend trader, but you don't want to ride large trends down, such as the one we've been in, this will take you out very early in the trade. And depending on your time period, if you look at a 4-hour period, you can see that as we get up close to the ultimate high and look at a 4-hour SAR or a stop and reverse point, that right here on this penetration down, we were trading at the 19,000 level, and the trade got you out using the stop and reverse point, and then kept you out all the way down to the 11,000 area. So it is an early warning system for getting you out of a trade where you have big profits and keeping you out until there's a reasonable trend development in the opposite direction. So with that, what I'm going to do is turn it back to Leah, and we will probably try to do one more vlog towards the end of the day, only because today's price action back above the 10,100 level needs careful consideration. And with that, back to Leah.
Thanks, Tyler, and thanks, everyone. Apologies for the crazy puppy in the background. He was just very excited about getting a shout out from Tonebase this morning. So again, thanks for watching, and until next time.
Bye-bye.